Hello everyone, I am back. It's more commentary time. I have had to do a lot of these this week. This is my second Rivals Recess this week, and then I might be commentating more later tonight, which is also kind of crazy. I'm gonna have to do like 5 hours of commentary today. That sounds very interesting. Oh, and I also did RCS the other day, so yeah. I'm getting all my commentary practice in, and that's kind of crazy. But yeah, I'm still very excited to see. I haven't commentated Amateur Bracket in a hot minute. Oh, I already have to hydrate. That's pretty hype. Okay, first hydrate and I'm already almost choking on my water. That's amazing. My portfolio is stacked. Gotta hydrate the vocal cords. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so for those of you who haven't been to an Amateur Bracket stream before, these are normally a lot more analysis heavy. I'm mostly trying to break down how I can help you guys to understand the game better and break some of your bad habits. So I'll be mostly analysis based for this, and I'll probably trail off on certain tangents even more than I do normally. So be on the lookout for that, especially if it's one of your sets. VOD will post to YouTube later, yada yada. Yeah, that's pretty much the dealio. Starting off, we're going to have MGUltra versus crusaderzim. Will I have a guest commentator? Not today. Usually amateur bracket streams are... Usually when I do amateur bracket, I do it alone. Not all the time, but usually. So it'll just be me today. And yeah. So for Rano versus Absa, I don't know too much of the specifics for this matchup. Rano's a character who actually doesn't approach much through the air anyway. Rano approaches grounded, which does help a lot because Absa's main strength is her ability to use Cloud to sort of shut down aerial approaches. Cloud can instead be used to sort of shut down platforms and make it harder for Rano to jump and get his footing back on plats. We'll see how that ends up coming into play here. Game 1, we're going to be going to Gates, which I think is a pretty decent starter for the Semio. Have you never? I have no idea. You smash. You would think this is like one of the most common enemies. Everyone always complains about all the Ranos. Right off the gate, I really like how MGUltra is using platforms to retreat to. That's something I was saying already right out the gate. Is just Rano likes to approach with plats. So we're gonna see if Zim's able to use Cloud to stuff that out as that goes on. Gates is a weird stage to play on in general because it's the only stage in the game with platforms at this height. So your waveland timing is completely unique to the stage. And a lot of people at first tend to struggle with that. They don't really know how to readjust their brain to make the plats work. But MGUltra's got it down so far. Been using a lot of side B right here to reposition Cloud. Generally a pretty good thing to do if you're able to have good cloud control. It looks like Sim has that down pretty effectively. This is not a great Absa stage, yeah. It's actually a pretty good starter for Ultra. Again, both these characters have a lot of vertical and horizontal confirms. That could have been a down strong. I think you had time for a sweet spot down strong, and that most likely would... No, definitely would have galaxied. That move is ridiculous. One thing I want to see, because there was just an opportunity for a Dacus, it looked like. Alright, so MG does know how to Dacus, it looks like. I don't know if that was a misinput. But yeah, Dacus would have killed right there. It kind of looked like that's what you were going for. I'm not sure if you just missed the up strong part. Alright, yeah. So being able to Dacus consistently is obviously very important for any character that has a useful one, Rano included. And we're finally going to get the Galaxy. 170. Very high percent for the first kill. And Zim's got a pretty good lead right now. I believe both Dacuses have a three frame window for inputting them. Which isn't too bad, all things considered. It just depends on like if you have a control setup that makes it easy. end the fair. Me taking game 1. That was a pretty solid game for Zim starting out. It's a fair definitely a move you need to be looking out for because it will absolutely destroy you. Let's see. What can I point out? Is there anything I can point out right now? I feel like Ultra is having a really hard time breaking through a lot of the up tilts and anti-airs. Absa does have a lot of good anti-airs, so you're gonna have to start looking to bait those out and make sure that it's a little bit harder for Absa to actually catch you with them. I think this is a pretty good pick. I hear mixed things about the stage from Ranos, but the overhanging plots are really nice. In a matchup where you're going to be getting edge guard, it's super hard, making it harder for Absa to control all possible angles of recovery is really nice. So, normally when you get a parry, your best punish is tongue. I don't know if that's viable on plat. Like if you get the parry on plat and you have to go down to the main stage to hit them. So right there, I think you could have upstronged right there. If you'd gone forward just a little bit, upstrong would have caught him. If you get hit by up air 1, you can air dodge. You can mash air dodge. And for most characters, you can mash jump as well, unless you're Eliana or Absa. There might be some others, but I think it's just those two. If you mash air dodge or jump, you get out of it fine. Absa, and if you're grounded, you should be able to parry. But Zim didn't do either of those, so the upstrong should have caught him. Oh, very nice fair spike. Just going right out and hitting him. Sometimes that's all you need to do. When it comes to edgeguarding Absa, you generally want to use a projectile, or particularly a disjoint. You want to use like lingering moves or disjoints. Maybe not so much projectiles, that's my bad. For Rado, Nair definitely fits the lingering hitbox part of that. So if you're able to find where they're trying to recover from, falling Nair should do a pretty good job of covering her. That being said, Absa does have the best recovery in the game, so actually getting your edge guards is super difficult in this character. Not quite spaced enough for the dive kick. Oh, that was a bit of a bold needle storm. And Zim for just kind of going to hit him. Let's see. One thing you can be using to aid in your recovery that I haven't really seen so far is bubble. So if you down me off stage, I'm not even talking about like bubble slingshots, so that is still sometimes something you have to do. But if you need to stall, you can just pop use down B and hold yourself in the air for a second. Yeah, bubble slingshots are sometimes something you have to do because of Rondo's airspeed. The problem is they're not very good because they take a long time to set up and it gives your opponent plenty of time to go out and whack you. Not too many people at this level will be bold enough to go out and do it. But as you get better, you'll have to think of more ways to work around that. Okay, we're seeing the slingshot right there. Almost spaced it for the dive kick. It's definitely worth learning those dive kicks early on to aid in your recovery, because Rondo recovery is kind of iffy. Being able to edge cancel is one of the best things he's got. That was a very well placed spike. Just kind of went for it and it worked. This game's looking to be more even so far compared to the last two. One thing I feel like I'm not seeing too much is jab from Ultra. So it's not necessarily just like jab checks I'm even talking about. It's just wave dash jab is one of the fastest options you have, and you're overshooting a lot of these dash attacks like when you're at close range. So a short distance wave dash jab would be pretty good for just making sure you get right up in Absa's face, and it's a relatively safe way to start a combo. with jab, like if you do jab, you can set up a tech chase and be parry safe. Alternatively, you can just do jab detail. And you have a handful of options off of that. Seeing some wave dash detilts right now. Rana up tilt isn't a bad anti-air. Zim's using, kind of playing it like short hop height a lot right now. So if you're able to catch that up tilt, it'd be a pretty good, nice catch-all option for covering it. Alright, it's probably on the platform. So I'm going to be taking Zim's second stock. That's a fairly interesting punish. I like it though. You got a nice 30%. And full stack, so if you're able to get another bubble... Oh. Damn. Sometimes when you're above Absa, you kind of have to be looking out for those up tilts and F tilts in advance, so you can hard DI out on them. When I'm above Absa and I'm afraid of getting hit, I'll just preemptively try to hold, like, left or right. Because... yeah, it's a really difficult kill confirm, because you have to hard... like, if you hard DI, you'll escape every time. But if you don't, it's not crazy hard to catch you on your action, which really sucks, because up air is ridiculously strong. So you gotta get used to that, though. That's kind of one of the big things about this game, is DI is super important, and in order to DI effectively, you usually have to have some foresight and DI ahead of time. But not bad. I mean, Zim had a pretty good lockdown on, their difference in DI on controller compared to keyboard. So on keyboard, you technically have less options to DI because you only have 8 directions instead of, I guess, 365 or whatever, or near infinite, I don't know. I guess functionally infinite, you know. You have less control. But, I don't know if this is specific to keyboard or if it also applies to controller. It might be amplified on keyboard. You could ask a keyboard player this, but there is DI assist. So from certain minute angles, if you just have the right idea on keyboard, it'll steer you in the right direction. But generally, no. You just have to do it, before you're in hit stun. I'm not sure if there are any keyboard players in chat right now that would know that. Otherwise, you could probably ask, like, Karakira. I'm sure they wouldn't mind answering. And if you have any keyboard runner questions. Let's see. We're going to be having Zacknight and BigDumbWhyPhoo up next for the other side of winner semis. So I believe that's Rano versus Ederburn. This is definitely a bit more of an explosive matchup than the last one we saw. I mean, Abs is also pretty light and a bit of a glass cannon. But it's a lot harder at first to do a lot of Abs' most devastating combos, whereas Ederburn is usually going to be a lot more comfortable hitting you with the dumb stuff right out the gate. Skin should I use? I guess Abyss is probably a decent substitute for it. I don't know. We'll roll with that. Okay, everything looks good to me. So, let's jump into it. Okay, hey. The Forest Flow starter is pretty good pick. 2 Ranos and winners, yeah. There were a lot of Ranos in Amateur last night from what I saw. I think there were 4 out of 13 players, which is a lot. Like almost a third of the bracket. So the thing about Forest Floor as a starter in this matchup is the low ceiling is going to be really devastating for both these characters. If either one lands a parry, they have either Shine Up Strong or Down Strong, which is, they're both ridiculously good at killing. You won't normally be seeing Shine Up Strong in Amateur bracket, but if Waifu happens to bust one out, that'd be kind of hype. Even regular Up Strong, though, that move is ridiculously good. Was I saying Shine Down Strong? I'm stupid if I did, I'm sorry. But yeah. The vertical kill confirms, and of course Rano has Daka's confirms. So both these characters have Up Strongs that are going to kill pretty early on the stage. Forest Flow's probably my favorite starter. I really like it, yeah, it's a good stage. And once again, a very well-placed fair from Zacknight, evening out the stocks here. One thing to note right out the gate for Zacknight is use of S-Strong. There's been a fair number of them so far. S-Strong isn't a particularly great move for Rano. Normally if you're in a position like that, something like Jab or F-Tilt would be a lot safer. I'm also noticing Zacknight isn't really hit-falling too many other moves. Oh, wow, okay. Just going for the F-Strong right there. But yeah, Rano, I mean, pretty much anything hitfall from Rano is really good. Hitfall in there, hitfall there. Those are all good options. We're seeing one right there. But early on, Zacknight wasn't hitfalling, so make sure you're consistent on those and keeping them in mind. Because Rano gains a lot, particularly from hitfall in there. Okay, the punishes are looking a lot better from Zacknight, the stock. I think they finally got something going here. No shine up there. I think shine F-tilt might be the easiest shine combo. So if you want to get a shine combo, that's probably the best fallback, and then you can do a fireball to try to tack on the extra 2% and reset the burn. A good jump right there, not falling into the F-Strong. Oh, that's a dead setter burn. Unfortunate. What could you have done right there? So I think you had, I'm going to assume you had no jump. If you burned your air dodge and went straight horizontal, you might have had a chance. Keyword might. I'm not sure the specifics of Zeta recovery, but yeah, getting the horizontal distance is not always easy for that character, unfortunately. But if you just kind of spam the up B and you weren't sure, you also could have mashed air dodge to the right and just tried to use that to gain your extra horizontal distance. Alright though, Zacknight, despite winning, is actually going to be pulling out the character switch right here, going to Crag, and we're going to be going to Endless Abyss for the counter pick, which I personally think wasn't a great pick. If you're seeing, honestly, for Crag or Rano, really for any Zetter matchup, Endless Abyss is really not the way to go. Zitterbird's actually kind of like Rano in that he has pretty bad airspeed, so you need to be using platforms to supplement your movement, and taking away those plats is not too great. The only thing the stage has that's good for Zetter is the low stealing the floor distance, which will make sure an F-Strong kill pretty early. But other than that, this is a really bad stage. And Crag has Rock, which makes it nigh impossible to approach without platforms. So this is definitely a stage that you don't want to be picking against Crag almost ever. Unless you're also a heavyweight, because most of the heavyweights are like the best, from what I've noticed. But for just about every character, this is not a great stage pick. Like, the only character I can actually think of that would really take Crag here is, like, Eliana. Maybe Sylvanas. Probably Sylvanas, yeah. Okay, the Rock Shine on the ground. Okay, I like Waifu just kind of disengaging after missing the parry, realizing it's not worth it. Parrying Crag side B is actually kind of a hard read. Even though the move is pretty slow, and you can definitely get the timing right, they can just sort of stop it or turn it around and punish you for it pretty easily. It's not too hard to just, like, disengage and get a free D-tilt, and then try to get your stage carry from there. So normally, on a stage that isn't Abyss, you'd want to go to plat, and then just punish with, like, a flat drop aerial or something. On this stage, you pretty much just have to run back and hope for the best. I'm trying to come with the dash attacks right now. I think Waifu's a little bit desperate for these dash attacks and charging too long. Greediness. F-Strong still would have been the safer bet right there. Well, the F-Strong still killed, but if Zacknight was ready to DI it, it would not have killed. That move probably wouldn't Galaxy Crag until like 160. So try to break the habit of like D-Strong on parry as soon as you can. Because once opponents get used to DIing it, it's going to be a very, very weak option. But F strong is always a strong one, even if they DI it properly. One thing I don't think I've seen too much from Zacknight so far is use of the downbeat spikes. That's another sort of supplement to Krag's zoning. You don't want to get too predictable with them or use them too often because they are easy to parry. But they're also a really good sort of matchup check. If the opponent isn't used to slide parrying, oh, the DI mix-up right there, Waifu not reacting in time and unable to adjust the DI. But yeah, what I was thinking about Krag spikes is that if they're not ready to slide parry them and they don't really know how to, you're gonna hit them with it for free. So it's a good thing to have in the back pocket. Interestingly, we're going to be having yet another character switch from Zacknight, this time going to Shovel Knight. We're going to Aramata for game... Oh wait, you're on Shine Zetterburn now. Crazy. But yeah, Aramata's a much better stage pick. This is one of Zetter's best stages. It's a pretty good Shovel Knight stage, depending on who you ask. The short side blast zones are really nice for him, like cheesing offstage edge guards easily, since that's pretty much his entire character, just offstage cheese. And if you can deal with that, there's a good chance you can deal with everything else. Zacknight's going for a lot of fishing right now. So fishing was nerfed in their most recent patch. You only get 500 per fish now instead of 750, and to compensate you get more gems from fighting. So round start fishing like that's pretty risky. Waifu missed the first spike. Actually punishing SK safely is kind of difficult. On this stage, if you guessed right, which I guess you did, he's just dead. Most of the time what you want to do is fish towards the wall, that way, or close to the wall rather, that way you're close enough to DI in and parry on reaction. As Zetter, and this goes for a lot of edge guarding too, not just for covering fish, a really safe way to kind of poke at the opponent off stage is just kind of jumping down and shining and then jumping back away. So you can jump down and threaten with Charge Shine. Momentum Mail is the better armor, so basically, Dynamo Mail is... Oh. Okay, Waifu's still alive. That was a weird misinput, I guess. So Momentum Mail is the safer pick, since Momentum Mail fixes SK's biggest weaknesses, while Dynamo Mail really exasperates his biggest strengths. Dynamo's still really, really good, and I think in a matchup like this, where like especially if the Zetterburn isn't like an expert at recovering, having something that can cover some of his recovery options easily and bring the hurt off stage is still really helpful, because all things considered, getting like an off stage Dynamo kill is probably easier, like a little bit easier than pulling off like a fair chain or something, even though fair chains aren't that difficult. People don't really do them in amateur bracket. Mail of Momentum will help you a lot in neutral. I don't think neutral is actually that hard in this MU. Pretty much any time. The Dynamo pick isn't that bad, but going a little bit too low there with it. Okay, and the Ghost Gloves here. I don't really think there are any relics that are actually bad in this MU. It's just set as per normal, right? Even at putting MUs aside, Horn and Dynamo are both moves that you only want to use if you're confident in your ability to win neutral. Otherwise, they're really not worth the buy. And the Gatling right there. Actually didn't look like bad DI for the Gatling, but definitely wasn't perfect. If you get hit by the dash attack, this is another thing where you just have to get used to like preemptively DIing things. You need to be ready to hold down and out to escape Gatling. And it looked like there was some DI out right there, but obviously not enough to fully save Zacknight right there. The Shovel Knight was not working out. This could be the beginning of a reverse 3-0. But, oh wait, that's why. Zacknight's going to be going back to the Rano here. He's going to be bringing out the pick that works and trying to seal out the set. We are returning to Aramata for the stage, which isn't necessarily a bad pick, I guess. I feel like there are definitely better stages for Rano than Aramata. you don't really have too many recovery options on this stage. So the stage will probably hurt a little more than it will help in that regard. That being said, the low sides are really nice for pressuring with fair, because that move is super scary off stage, and it's really awkward to DI. So if you're able to set up, and it's relatively easy too, because you don't actually have to hit like a sweet spot fair or anything, you just hit them with fair. And either hitbox is going to be difficult for them to deal with. Ooh, very nice fair right there. Just coming right up above. And good edge cancel. Well, if you imagine the parry does mean that Zacknight's getting a little bit predictable with the needles right there. So that's something that they'll definitely want to be aware of for the rest of the set. Is how predictable their needle habits are and how easily Waifu is able to deal with them. You can crouch cancel needles, which isn't one way to help deal with them. Actually punishing them after their crouch cancel is a bit tricky. It does leave your defensive options more open for whatever they're going to try to do after the needles. But yeah, if you can crouch cancel them, that definitely helps. Okay, we got lots of dash attacks right here. I think Zacknight could have teched on the first one. Tech in probably would have gotten them out of the chain sooner. But otherwise, yeah, as they started DIing in, that was kind of... Yeah, you're gonna hit with more dash attacks. Nice up strong right there. Busting out the good confirms. And Zacknight holding in a little bit right here. Holding out at the ledge like that is pretty scary on a stage like this, so you do have to be really careful. I think trying to squeeze in a little bit of drift out would have helped escape that better. That was a pretty well spaced F strong. That's going to be taking the set. Zacknight moves on to winners finals. And Waifu is in losers quarters right now. Okay, we're going to be moving on to losers for a little bit, speaking of. So I think we're going to have Barnstormer versus hotdogmilk first. Let's see. There we go. Actually, no, that's not game one. That should be game one. Ow, my foot's falling asleep. Hot dog panicking a little bit. It really do be like that sometimes. Where's Spangled Aster? Nobody ever knows what to call this setup. It's apparently Loser's 8th, but I really hate that name. So I guess we're using Loser gets 7th for this. Alright, so Ori versus Raster. This is a really weird matchup. Both characters are pretty good at kind of baiting out and options from the other and using their speed to their advantage. However, they're also the lightest characters in the game, so death percent's like 50% in the Semio. It's really crazy on both sides. Stocks tend to get lost pretty quickly, and if you're not able to take those stocks quickly, that's a big problem. For Ori, confirms into especially up strong are going to be really potent because of how early Raster dies off the top. And for Raster, basically just your standard clout confirms probably be what's best. Yeah, a lot of this MU is just determined by how ridiculous the heal power is. Oh, that's not Spangled Master. It's just something loosely based off of Spangled Master. I'm pretty sure you used to use it, so I'm not totally crazy. Okay, though. Right out the gate, it kind of feels like Barnes' movement is a little bit on the stiff side right now. And there's a lot of like full hop aerial approaches. And they're sort of landing on the plat normally. Let's Let's see. Okay, so just the up tilts there from Hot Dog. Raster combos are unfortunately not my specialty. It's one of the things I know least about in this game. I think a fair might have been nice right there. Something I usually encourage Rasters to do if you haven't already is to learn the knockback angles on your moves, because Raster has some very funky knockback angles on a lot of his moves, and knowing how to effectively take advantage of those will be pretty helpful for keeping your airstrings going longer and making the opponent question their DI. Barn really kind of fishing for the up strong right there. Hot Dog not ready to DI the up air. Gotta remember up and in. That's a difficult move to deal with. It's pretty infamous for a good reason. One thing I think Barn relies on way too strongly is these sort of dashback side Bs. Oftentimes when Barn doesn't want to approach, we'll just kind of run back and like standing side B. Ori side B isn't that great in neutral because of how slow it is and how predictable the arc is. Instead, it's kind of better to just figure out how to throw yourself at the opponent or how to use sign to close off space. Using sign is definitely tricky to get used to, but it's extremely worth it because it is one of the strongest neutral tools in the game. I think Barn might have been able to get an up tilt after that dare, or an up air rather, after the dare. Okay, the raw clap gonna be taking. Can't use sign to create space. Kind of. You can use it to like shut down where the opponent's able to move, if that's what you mean. Because it basically means like you can move in a way, and like you can move in a certain path, and then the opponent can't do that same thing. Otherwise, they're gonna get hit by sign. There are a lot of options of how to use sign in general. Ooh, Vine was not ready for the clap right there. I do think, even though it's sort of working because Ori's super light, the use of raw claps as sort of the backbone of your kills isn't something you want to be doing as Raster. The move, it's generally hard to get sweet spot claps kind of randomly, so you definitely want to have your kill confirms on the ready and try to take better advantage of those. And the end lag too, yeah. There are a lot of reasons, but raw claps definitely not the way to go in most situations. And the neutral being neutral, that's not an option you see very often. I can't really think of any reason to use it. That might have been a misinput. Yeah, okay, misinput. I think Barn is also having the issue of not hit falling enough right now. Yeah, so I'm seeing a lot of non-hit fault up airs. When hit fault up air is kind of the backbone of Ori's everything. They fall in there as well. Those two moves are ridiculously important for the character. Even though the hitfalls wouldn't necessarily allow you to get more combos in these situations, they would still allow you to act faster and sort of refresh your resources. So keeping that in mind is really important. I also think there's a bit of an over-reliance on detail to approach from Barn. Oh, again, the raw clap. Hot Dog, one thing I think I'm not really seeing too much that's kind of nice for Raster is in Slipstream, just like wave dash down tilt and wave dash up tilt. I'm seeing a fair amount of dash attack, like right there. You're dash dancing and looking for your dash attack opportunity. Dash attack's a nice zone breaker because of the crazy speed boost it gives you, but you're going to have a hard time getting any combos off of it. So try to be looking for those opportunities to down tilt. Wave dash jab is also pretty good. You can also do the funny, which is jab jab, roll scrawl. Like wait for them to roll and then you read their roll and scrawl. It's really stupid and it shouldn't work, but Every once in a while, it will take stocks, the opponent will feel very bad, and you can officially say you've done the funny. Speaking of Scrawl, there it is. Sure is a move. I'm not sure if landing with down B was really the best option right there, because it was pretty lucky. If you really just want to land, you probably could, your best bet would probably just be to fast fall. Honestly. Maybe Nair or Fair to cover yourself, but definitely not down B. You want something with less end lag. That'll be harder to punish. I was actually thinking you were just going to try to go up to the platform, but you didn't really use your air dodge in a way that allowed that to happen. So, alas, that is that set. Not that set, that's that game. Game 3 here. Say tied 1-1 right now. Okay, a bit of DI in from hotdogmilk. DIing as raster in general is not very fun to do. Because of how light you are, there's always the risk of just suddenly exploding. Even more so than the rest of the cast. Being said, good drift DI is still really good to have in the back pocket, especially for Ori up air, because you can only escape with good use of drift. That was low percent F tilt. And there's no slipstream, which is the big issue. Because if you had slipstream, you probably could have done like short wave dash F tilt. Without slip, I think honestly clap would have worked, but Burner's also at 25, so there's not really a reason to go for clap other than like damage. And maybe like hatching DI to put him off stage. I thought going super high to avoid that. Up air galaxying from mid stage, you don't see that very often. I guess that's just the raster for you. Try to be careful, Hot Dog, about burning all of your resources high up in the air like that. Raster has so many jumps that it can kind of feel like you're not doing anything super bad. But in reality, yeah, you're just kind of making it easier for the opponent to look for your landing and to do something to punish it. I'd also say when you're getting back on stage, try to keep in mind the strength of landing with an aerial when you're coming up from the wall. So you can, usually you're going to be using Bear, sometimes Fair, or up air. But yeah, if you can like wall jump Bear, sometimes wall jump up air, or just not use your wall jump and Fair, those are nice options for quickly swatting the opponent away without putting yourself at a huge risk like you did with that clap earlier. That would have been a much safer option. One thing I'm also seeing that I think you could probably use a little bit more of is you're not really using Nair very much. So Nair's really good offstage for edge guarding. You haven't really been able to get any edge guards on Barn. Just in general, Barn hasn't been knocked off stage much. But I think Nair is a fairly good approach option. It has good range and it lingers for a long time. And if you're able to hit one, it's not too hard to just go for another Nair and keep the string going. So working that in would be fairly helpful. Going into game 4, Hot Dog is in desperation mode and is going to be going to the to the Piscine counterpick. Yeah, the skin's really funny. I wish you weren't using it, but it's a really funny skin. This is not a bad pick. All things considered. I don't think Ori is necessarily bad on Abyss. But Ori probably wants platforms a little bit more than Arcane. The main thing you get from this is that bubbles of ledge are going to become a lot stronger when there's no platform you try to sneak onto. So it's a little bit easier to edgeguard on this stage. Yep, we got Biscayne. Ooh, that was a weird up B. That was, I think you were trying to, like, commit to it when Barn was committing to something else, but Ori has a lot of low commitment moves, so Barn was still able to punish you. I wonder if Fair would have been decent right there to try to, like, wall Barn out and make it hard for him to approach you. And, alright, I think you might have just out a little bit at the end right there. One thing you probably could have done right there is instead of puddling, I think side B Wajum Orca Hop might have let you live. Even, especially if you like air dodge up, but yeah, that's still fairly punishable in its own right. It's just probably less punishable than puddle. And Vine going pushing a little bit for the detail follow-ups right now. I think when it comes to combo resets, F tilt is a lot better than down tilt. If you can find hits into jab jab, F tilt, or even just sometimes jab jab, that'd be getting you a lot more off of your combos, Barn. So try to keep that in mind. Right, Barnstormer is going to be taking that set. 3-1, and hotdogmilk is out at 7th. But good job, hotdog, making it 2 top 8. It's pretty hype. The Arcane counterpick might not have been the way, unfortunately, yeah. I believe we have Aichi versus Aro coming up here. Give me 1 second here. There we go. So Claren versus Raster. You always feel weird watching your replays. I totally understand that, honestly. All things considered, yeah, it sometimes is not very fun watching yourself play. It's important, for sure, but fun, maybe not. Oh, right. I'm gonna go with that. That's probably the closest to your skin. Actually, you know what? I should really just start using the Definitive Edition art. That's probably easier and more consistent. Hooray for inconsistency. I'm changing my my display in the middle of stream. Okay. Yes. There you go. So Claren versus Raster. Claren is one of the laggiest characters in the game in terms of her frame data, so that's really nice for Raster to be able to prey on her frame data with movement and with punishing. So in general, a lot of what I was saying last set is going to apply here, but like tenfold, because with Ori, you at least have some moves you can kind of space out, but with Claren, that's never going to happen, so you have to rely on like Slipstream and Wave Dash to break through with the sword and use your punishing tools, jab, D-tilt, F-tilt, etc., sometimes Nair, to start your combos and get those neutral wins. We're going to see if Aichi's able to do that here, starting in Game 1 on Jules Veil. Again, for the Claren side, it's mostly going to be just taking advantage of the fact that Raster doesn't have disjoints. You can't really swing too liberally in the MU because of Slipstream making Raster one of the fastest characters in the game. But yeah, you have to take advantage of the range you have. Tubby, who are you here for? Out of curiosity, if you don't mind me asking, of course. Ooh, I like that right there. The dare grab is something I don't think enough RSC Clarens utilize. That's your safest way to get combo damage off of grab. Or, done. It's your safest way to get nice tech. Alright, ready for it. Very on top of things right now. But yeah, I was going to say Aro. I like grab as your guaranteed follow-up from dare. Nothing else really is as consistent. So, good stuff. And hitting the dare spike. Wow. Let's go, Aichi. You don't see that too often. And dropping the combo just 18%. That's unfortunate. Okay, so right there, I think your best parry punish would have been flat drop dare. I'm gonna say. Now, how do you combo off of Raster dare? I'm really sorry. I don't know. That move confuses me so much. But I think hitfall, like I think flat drop dare, and then trying to get like another dare or a bear after it would have been your best follow-up option. Oftentimes, because Raster's frame data is pretty good, it shouldn't be too hard to just line up those flat drop aerials if you get a platform parry. And even, like, I think a lot of high-level rasters will use Dare as their parry punish when they're grounded anyway. So that helps too. And they're all clap right there. Bit of a risky option, as you were talking about earlier. Not lining up the down air, down strong rather. One thing we have seen, right, is that Auro has already shown that they're capable of teching down strong off stage. So in that situation, oh well, I'm not always gonna get it. But I feel like after you see the tech, maybe once or twice, even just once though, I would say to try to find other options near ledge. It is funny that, yeah, Commentator's Curse happened right there. I'm trying to think what would be better. So when it comes to Claren, at the ledge she can be a little bit awkward. You kind of just need to whiff punish most of her landing moves, and if she can wave dash back on, she's fairly safe. I guess you can... My bad. I really need to delete that. But I should not do it right now. Brain, stop routing on me, please. Oh my gosh, I'm in brain art. I'm sorry. Shoot. Okay, yeah. So when it comes to Claren, though, right? Her recovery is probably the worst in the game. It's annoying to deal with the ledge, so you need to whiff punish her landing option if possible. Otherwise, you can try to wait for her to, like, wave land and then spam something. Like, that's something that's a bad habit I have, where I just, like, if I can wave land, I'm gonna wave land F-tilt every single time, and the F-tilt's really easy to punish. But if you can push Claren really far off stage, her, ability to make it, like, her horizontal recovery is kind of weak. So trying to push her into the blast zone without, even if she just lost one of her resources, there's a very good chance she's dead. Especially if she's low enough. So I'd say try to work on your ability to pressure her off stage. She's already right by the ledge, there's not much you can do. But yeah, setting up for those more aggro edge guards will probably do you a lot of favors. Oh, it's KT, not TK? I am very sorry. I will go fix that. There you go. I am also illiterate. As it turns out. Alright, so getting back into the game. Aichi going off stage here. And still fishing for the raw claps. And you're not able to challenge the Nair. You have to be careful about how Claren's going to land. Yeah. Almost getting the clap right there. You weren't too far off. Hit falling the bear and falling a little too low. That happens sometimes. So this is the thing I was saying to Hot Dog earlier. What you're doing right now is you're kind of just like burning a lot of your jumps and swinging with them. Even though Raster has a lot of resources to burn, you still don't really want to be burning all of them if you can avoid it. So try to be on the lookout for that. And the bad DI on the F strong. You hate to say it. So, follow-ups off of Sour Nair. Is there anything Claren can really do in this situation? I think jab would probably be safe. You won't really be able to get too much off of the jab, but that's one of your better options. Hello Genghis, you are here. That's cool. Just barely missing the second up air. I like the attempt for the up strong. Oh? Our unplugged the controller for a second. Unfortunate. So side B out of hitstone for Claren isn't awful. If they're really going for a combo and they're getting like super into it, and you don't think they're gonna try to drop it, sometimes it'll be a funny haha like catch option, and no, if you get the sweet spot, they're just gonna die. Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah, can't exactly do both at once. Yeah, so now I feel like Aura, now that they're playing on the back foot, there are a lot more buttons being pressed. And the double jump air dodge, a bit risky. So, Aichi, when you have a lead like this, you don't really have to approach much if you want to. Genghis, I'm not forcing CC players to deal with Hood on. That sounds awful. I feel so bad for them. I know you're just gonna fish for the funny empowered up B or whatever it is. So alright, when you get a parry, especially in a position like that where you're really close to them, side B should be your go-to every time. Just like with there, you can use side B grab for guaranteed damage. Otherwise, you have a handful of harder and less reliable confirms that you should you can go for. I think the funniest one is side B up strong, so you have the 50-50 of you Dacus on DI out and you slide up strong on DI in. But that's not easy to time, nor is it very consistent. It's just my favorite, personally. So I recommend it to people, because hitting it is very satisfying. It kills at like 50. Like Galaxy's at 50, not just can kill. But yeah, side B grab is probably the safest parry punish you have open to you, and ooh, not ready to DI the fair, holding straight up and dying for it. Sometimes that happens with Raster. You just have no idea how to DI and suddenly you're dead because of the randomly steep knockback angles this character has for no apparent reason. Yeah, it looked like you held hard in on the fair, because I'm pretty sure fair sends up and away. Alright, so game 3 is going to be on Bars Floor. Fairly safe pick. This is possibly Claren's best starter, and obviously because of that, it's also going to be a fairly good standard pick. There are definitely more sort of extremely good Claren stages you could have gone for, but this is definitely a safe bet. I don't know if you were maybe thinking of saving some of Claren's really good stages for a potential second counter pick, which is so that's totally understandable. Okay, you went for it that time. You're just a little bit slow. You gotta start. So what I would have done right there is basically right away just start running for like a couple frames and then press side B. I believe side B is frame 24 and parries have roughly 40 frames of stun. It's at least 40 frames of stun for pretty much everything. Well, no, it is at least 40 frames of stun for everything. It's just sometimes it doesn't feel that fast because of the end lag you have. But yeah, just like a slight dash forward and then side B will normally catch in that position. Ooh, and catching with the Upstrong right there, I like it. You definitely want to be looking for those situations where you can get to for Upstrong, because that is definitely Claren's best kill move. It doesn't kill the earliest, but it's her most reliable. Near Upstrong is a really nice confirm that I haven't really seen you go for too much so far. Tipper near Upstrong is the... Ooh, once again! Finding the Upstrong, yeah. I feel like in one way or another, most of her sour aerials can lead into an Upstrong, in at least certain situations, even if it's a little bit niche. But Sweet Spot and Air Upstrong is probably going to be one of the main ones, and Bear Upstrong. Also Sweet Spot. Sometimes I'm able to get sour near Upstrong if they're kind of funky on their DI, like if they hold in and do some funky drift. You can just sort of like slide forward a little bit and catch them with Upstrong, and I like that option a decent amount. Okay, pushing Aichi off stage. So, ooh, nice jab check right there. Keeping it safe. Let me think. Oh yeah, so the video on grab, while I was trying to remember what I was going to say. If the video on grab, you can try to dash attack to catch them. Sometimes that'll tipper, and that gives you more options to either hit with up strong or reset the combo in some form. Depending on how they DI, which that move is super awkward to DI, so. It's going to use tower up strong. When it comes to edge guarding, for most characters, you can kind of use either detail at ledge as your sort of safe option if they're approaching from like diagonally down and below the ledge. Or like just down and out from the ledge rather. But if they're approaching higher, you'll need to get a bit smarter with using usually Nair and Fair. Sweet Spot Fair is really good off stage. It kills fairly early. Especially if you're able to just land one of the tippers. Either way, the edge guards aren't really needed right now. I saw a bit of a dropped edge guard opportunity earlier. Raster, cringe. I didn't know what to call cringe right there. Unfortunate. Oh, there you go. That was almost a sweet spot there. And, oh. Okay, you're near the funny. Well, that's unfortunate. I'm off my game. I know I am off my game. But I also can't call the amateur bracket players cringe. I can hydrate. Thank you for the hydrate. So that's going to be Aichi out at 7. If there's anything I can think of, I'm going to try to think of something for Aichi real quick that I can also mention. Because I started talking more about Ara's play near the end. I think working on your movement in Slipstream will help a lot. In general, like I said, with hotdogmilk, Slipstream is a really key part of your punish game when opening up with punish opportunities, and I wasn't seeing very many of those right there. You're kind of just hovering around and throwing on hitboxes and hoping one of them swatted Aro away and allowed you to continue a string in some form. Unfortunately, most of those weren't really working out too well. So definitely work on certain Slipstream positions. There are actually some, I think it's possible to have Slipstream cover platforms and the main stage if you space it well. And there's like a setup for it. I could be wrong about that, but I'm fairly confident that's the thing. So maybe use that if you want. I don't know. What am I looking for? Yes, that's what I'm looking for. MGUltra versus Barn. Where is that set? Oh wait. Okay, I just didn't mark it down. Cool. We're good now. So yeah, we're gonna have Ori versus Rana right here. Just give me 1 second to set this up. Oh yeah, I mean, these platforms have to be at like the sort of standard low platform height for it to work. So tower, I think it'll work on Fire Capital for the low platforms. It probably works on Tempest. Where is Rano? There is Rano. Okay, losers quarters. Barnstormer versus MGUltra. Kinda hype. So as far as this matchup goes, this is another matchup where I think Barn will get a lot for more aggressive edge guarding, so I'm hoping maybe he'll go for it here. If not, I'll definitely make sure to point that out. Sorry about my dog. They really do be like that sometimes. And for MGUltra, I think a lot of it's going to come down to smart DI, making sure you have to be careful with your DI with Rano and Clarence specifically, in particular, because of the way that air drift works in this game, or rather air friction. So those two characters have the lowest air friction, meaning if you don't drift kill moves properly, you're going to die much, much earlier than other characters would, relative to your own weight. So good drift against Ori is super important, especially for Rano. Let's see here how things go. I have to get it. I like how you're using platforms to not really commit too hard against Barn. Oh, I think you might have saved Barn right there. It looked like Barn accidentally wall jumped and was not ready for it. With the way he was just drifting down. So definitely need to look out for the situations. You're trying to get too preemptive with covering the ledge with needles. Either way, you're still on the track to getting this stock. So when covering Ori recovery, a lot of it really will just come down to predicting where they're going to drift. And I think for Rano, spotting it with Fair would probably be one of your best options because of how big the hitbox is. Either way, the spike right there is going to be doing you a lot of favors. I'm assuming the tongue was a misinput, because yeah, if you can... Ooh, so right there, I don't know if you have the space for it, but I was going to say tongue to stage would be nice to help cover the ground. I'd rather just get you back faster. I don't know what I mean if I cover the ground. Okay, I got some pretty nice strings going right here. I feel like your advantage is fairly good on this character right now. Oh, you're getting a little bit overzealous for Needle Fair. I think double jump Fair might have just straight up killed Barn right there, so I'm not entirely sure if that was just like your brain going into autopilot for a minute. So you definitely want to be looking out for the situations, because you put yourself in a potential reverse edge guard. It could have been pretty costly. Once again, Barn relying on Orb in neutral. Definitely try to parry the Orb. It's one of the easiest projectiles in the game to parry. The only thing that's kind of awkward about it is the little ground explosion. Yeah, I was mentioning that earlier. Barn is not hit-falling enough aerials. It does bear repeating here, because it's still not great to see. Ah, just barely missing the Needle Fair right there. Okay, nice. Just resting on the platform right there. Not getting covered by the S-Strong. You're right there. The hitfall probably costed Barn. That could have gone further if Barn got the hitfall. But unfortunately, nothing. Okay, nice little fake out. Just drifting back. Leaf. And bear out if it's done. Good for you. I'm proud of you. Bear out if it's done makes me really upset sometimes. Ooh, nice edge cancel. Try to be careful about these kind of short hop nairs on stage. You'll generally want to be doing them from a plot instead, unless you already have the combo going. And that's because of Rano's bad air drift. As we've talked about a bit before, yeah. Just kind of jumping around as Rano and trying to like float down towards the opponent is generally not a great strategy. Because how easy it is to sort of recognize Rano's movement. Ooh, good attack right there. I'm surprised you were able to attack that. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, as Rano, you want to be using plots as best you can, and Treetop is a really great stage for that because of the tri-flat layout, making sure there's a platform on basically every part of the stage. Another stage with a lot of platforms that are fairly easy to utilize for movement is Estuary, our Game 2 pick. Not a bad pick at all. It probably were... I mean, yeah, this is definitely a comfort pick, I'm guessing, especially because you picked Estuary instead of Merchant, which not too many people do. Good for you. The stage is much prettier than Merchant. Code would be proud. Okay, the up air right there, still hanging on. Shush, Matt. Estuary is good. Merchant, not good. The random side B right there. Possible looking to slingshot off of something, and the full charge. That's gonna be taken into stock. And this is what I was mentioning earlier about using using bubble to stall. If you see your opponent just doing full charge chunks at the ledge and you aren't sure if it's gonna hit you or not, the safe option really is to just stall and wait it out. Either way, Rano fair stupid and it's gonna galaxy it, whatever percent that was. I don't even know if that was actually unreasonable. So one thing to look out for here is Barn is teching. Barn techs a lot from what I've played of him, or from what I'm noticing. So if you see your opponent teching a lot and you have a read on their tech options, you can start using Tongue as your sort of high risk, high reward tech chase option. You have some others. Falling there is a decent tech chase option because if you miss, you can sometimes correct yourself with dash attack and still get a punish. But Bubble, or rather Tongue, is definitely going to be the most you're going to get off of it. Yeah, trying to get those resets with Tongue is always nice. What do you have trouble with? Oh, you have trouble with bubble combos? Yeah, they are going to mix you up. It's a good thing they can mix you up, otherwise Bubble would be stupid. The drift used to be a lot lower, and I think there were some just straight up guaranteed kill confirms, which was really annoying. The safe bubble options would be. It would be. Old bubble drift was depressing. But yeah, there are still things you can do. Like if you have a read, if you have the basic read on their drifts, like in any capacity. Oh, that was unfortunate. If you have the basic read on their drift, you can usually just go with something like Fair or Hit Fall Nurse, and that'll still rack up damage. If you're in Academy, I would definitely recommend checking out Doses, particularly the kill. He has a post on kill confirms post patch. It's one of the most recent posts in Rano, in the Rano channel, and it's got a ton of them. It's got like, looks like 7 or 8 kill confirms here, maybe more, probably like 10. And even if you don't get the kill from these, like, okay, so it's not necessarily just kill confirms, but you have no stack bubble combos for like off percents. So that's a really helpful little guide to use. Yeah, so daring the bubble is not a good strategy because if you get aggressive, you die. If the opponent gets aggressive, you die rather. But Barn, as you've seen so far, Barn doesn't really get aggressive off stage. So if you've noticed your opponent isn't going to punish you for any of that, you can just go for it, you know? And this is what I meant when I say you can just hold down V and float with the bubble, because that will hold you in place. You won't really lose any height for it. And you can wait out their strong attack charge before you get back on stage. Or you might still be able to punish you, but they're going to be limited to a dare or something instead of an F strong, which is a lot easier to deal with and a lot less frustrating to get hit by. Alright, good bear right there. You're covering the space here. And okay, it looks like Barn held out on the needles or something. No fair. These air dodges are a little bit funky. I'm not sure if they're just missed wavelands. Okay, I like the attempt for the Baradacus right there. That is one of the bubble confirms, I'm pretty sure, like a fairly decent one. Sarah Baradacus. Oh, not being able to wall jump or anything in time. That's an unfortunate way to lose stock. So one thing I haven't really seen you use very much is super jump. If you need height, remember that you have access to a third jump height if you just crouch and then jump, you'll go higher than your full hop, and that should help you catch some of these high recoveries. You can use up air. It's a decently strong move. Yeah, super jump's really nice for catching high recoveries in particular. Against some high recoveries, you can actually just, at least according to Dos is a pretty good Rana, so I'm willing to take his word for it on some level. You can just like super jump and then nair. Okay, I like it. Actually, that was the one time where going for the orb wasn't a bad option from Barn, because if you got hit, you might have gotten Galaxied. So yeah, that's fair. Yeah, for MG, right, sometimes you can just fall with Nair, and then I'll cover certain high recoveries relatively safely. Yeah, I feel like if you hold down and jump basically at the same time, you'll normally get super jump. You should get it every time, actually, because crouching is basically instant. I just noticed, like, I haven't really seen one super jump between your two sets, so that's something to start using, because it is a pretty good tool. Okay, we're seeing more tongue here, but not really great punishes off of it, and Barnes living the 200, and that's gonna be a kill, yeah. Let me think. So you were saying you have a hard time getting kills above 100, so as far as raw kills with Rana goes, Fair off stage is really annoying to deal with, because Fair is just generally a really brutal kill move. Bear is good if they don't DI it, and a lot of times they'll have to anticipate it ahead of time, and if the opponent can consistently DI Bear, it's not going to do any favors. Dacus will sometimes catch people, yeah. I do think. Sometimes, so like, if you use Super Jump and you can catch people going high up, then up air is really good, because up air can start galaxying in around, I think, 150. So those are probably going to be your three best, like, raw kill options. Ah, Dos, thank you very much for the raid. You unfortunately just missed a Rano on stream. 'Tis unfortunate. Alright. Jumping in the other side of Losers Quarters this time, and I'm going to type their tag right this round. Crazy. We're going to have Waifu versus Aro. So Zed or Clarence is a fairly fun matchup, I think. Let me just find the game real quick. There we go. Type. Nice first stream of 2020. That's always hype. Okay, so for Clan versus Zedder, this is mostly going to be a matter of just how good Zedder's punish game can be and how good Clarence Tuchel can be. It's a relatively even matchup, all things considered, because when Zedder does break through Claren's disjoint wall, the damage he can deal is pretty crazy. So effectively dealing with that is your main ticket to success as you Zedder in this matchup. Ooh, where is my thing? There we go. Okay. And already a parry right there. Again, I like the shine as your attempt for a parry punish. Just gotta get a little bit more consistent with the combos out of it if you're gonna try to use shine. It's definitely your best parry punish tool as Zedder. Just, oh, miss input. That's not a great way to start off the set, unfortunately. I'm signing off the flat right there, so no follow-up. I don't really think there's anything Claren can do if you're not close enough. If you don't just straight up land after the dare. I feel like you're fishing a little bit hard for the dare right now. Remember that if you try to dare through a plot, for basically every character except like Shovel Knight, if they crouch, they're not getting hit by the dare. That's something mostly important to remember if you're fighting against Claren, because you don't see it very often at this in Rivals Recess. Most people just kind of either don't know or forget. And the down strong gonna be taking Waifu's second stock. This is a pretty big lead for Ara right now. And there's Ara's first stock. Fire Strongs are kind of crazy. I like that Waifu's trying to use plats to help approach now. I think... Part of me is thinking that because Ara was holding in, or at least it looked like they were holding in, if you had gone for a fair at one of those points, you might have been able to go for a fair there. That's a fairly strong kill confirm. It catches DI in really well, and it'll start killing fairly early. I want to say around like 50 or 60 for most characters and most stages. So learning that and implementing it is nice to do. It's not super necessary, but it's helpful. And we're seeing a lot of fireball. I'm not sure if these are still misinputs, but the fireballs to help edgeguard aren't doing too much. Fireballs are really only going to be like kind of poking at Claren, unless you're able to snipe Claren's jump, which would be fairly strong, all things considered. Wait, Race to me coming in with the tier 3 sub after that. Huh. I'm surprised you just paid that much money for a toaster emote, but good for you. Let's go, Race. Okay. I'm sorry, that really caught me off guard. But, let's go. I'm hype. I don't know if you're hype. You seem hype. This is a good emote. Not worth 25 bucks, but it's a good emote. Okay, so that was a fairly good first game for Aro. Hopefully Waifu was able to not SD, because honestly, after the SD, it wasn't too far off. Waifu was able to take a stock at the very least and get some decent progress on the second stock. Oh, you finally got the target gift card to work. Good for you. I'm proud. Oh, I didn't put the score in. Ah. Okay, here we go. So once again, Waifu going to Abyss. So this is the second time you've seen this, and the second time I'm inclined to say, why are you playing Zeder on Abyss? However, ultimately, if you're going to keep picking it and there's a level of comfort to it, there are some characters, with Abyss in particular, where I'm going to say, yeah, please don't do that, particularly Crag. Claren is a character that I think is probably fine to fight on Abyss, relatively speaking. Claren's not really a huge fan of this stage either. I think both Zeder and Claren pretty much have the same strengths and weaknesses on it as most of the cast. And there's another DRF strong. Nice catch from Aro. So I feel like right now Waifu's kind of started to hold forward a little bit too much. What's basically happening is just Waifu presses forward, gets hit, and then immediately presses forward again. That makes the pace of attack really easy for Aro to fall into and just manage to make work. My grammar is bad, I'm very sorry. But you know what I mean, right? If you're just going to be attacking at the same pace every time, the opponent doesn't need to mix anything up. So for Zeder, yeah, looking at saying, right, you can hold back a little bit. You can try to use fireballs to put on a little bit of pressure. On Abyss in particular, I'm not really sure what Zeder can do to help approach, because normally I'd recommend trying to use platforms and possibly even plat boosts to help kind of close the gap. And find different timings and different angles to approach, but on Abyss, you're very much locked into just coming straight onto the opponent. One of the reasons why, again, Zeder isn't usually considered particularly great on this stage. Waifu is not here right now, so I'm not really sure where the potential Abyss comfort pick is coming from. So alright, that could have been an up strong. If you didn't slide up strong going back, that would have been a dead Waifu. Anyway, down strong. For those of you who are not familiar with how to DI some of those vertical kill moves, because they are a little bit uncomfortable to DI. This includes stuff like Orcane down strong, Force down strong, SK down strong, and Claren down strong. You want to hold straight down, generally, and that'll give you kind of the best balance of not dying while, like, not dying off the top while also not dying off of the sides. Because if you try to DI that moves straight out, you're just going to get sent right into the side blast zones. I think down does slightly better for 4s because you can still, like, react to the drift. I could be wrong, but I remember because I'm pretty sure it's literally the same angle as Arcane's. And Eagle had a graph that showed that or maybe it was Clockwork, I don't know. Clockwork is not here right now, so I can't ask him. But, I normally hold down. It's been working out a lot better for me. You can also just do no DI drift, into the corner. But I want to say DI down will help you live like an extra 5-10% longer. So, it's worth it. At least in my opinion. We're going to be going over to another stage. This is a stage that's also good for both characters. Definitely more of what you'd expect from Zetter, but I can't really see why I wouldn't ban this because it's one of Claren's best. Oh, wait. There it is. The fair dare. So Waifu does know how to do it. That's kind of hype. Yeah, so remember, Auro, you gotta DI out on the fair. Now, obviously DIing out on fair, especially as Claren, is really scary because, sweet spot. Waifu, gotta get the text on this. You hit the wall, so I know that you at least DI'd it correctly. I think you might have pressed it a little bit earlier and fallen into the tech lockout. But yeah, that's not a move you really want to be missing text on. But yeah, for Auro, hold it on the fair if you think they're going for the LBO. It's a weird situation to be in. At the very least, you can try to drift out, and then it'll make it work a little bit less often. Oh, no. That was really not the greatest option from Waifu, but it ends up working out. Definitely did not want that. Running straight into Zetter F-Strong, cringe. Sorry, but it must be said. Oh, you did it. Let's go. That's actually kind of interesting. So normally in Recess, I'll recommend players to do back throw F-Strong, but that time looks like Waifu was anticipating the back throw, so the forward throw was a nice mix-up. And okay. Good parry there on the up tilt. Alright, starting to press. And actually, I like how you kind of stopped approaching there, and you just said, alright, I'm going to sit on the platform, I'm going to wave dash around, and I'm going to force Waifu to approach. That's what you want to do, because if you are in a position where you don't have to approach as Claren, that's where your character is at her strongest. Approaching as her is very difficult to do effectively. And when you have the lead, just play slow. So going for some of the laggier options, Waifu managing to get these parries. And coming in with the F-Strong. And now taking the set 3-0. So I think in general, Waifu had a tough time really adapting to the pace of the game and kind of just constantly approaching at the same pace. And Auro was able to relatively easily take advantage of that and just keep swinging. Give me 1 second here. Alright, we're going to be jumping back into winners real quick. We're going to have Zacknight versus crusaderzim for our winner's final set. That's going to be Rano Absa. Alright, so... wait, no. Tux Rano. Okay. So I think this is actually the second Rano in a row that crusaderzim fought. No, why did I press Tux? Whoops. Okay. Yeah, I think this is the second Rano in a row we've seen. So, possibly unfortunate for Zim. If they don't like the Rano matchup. If they do like it, then I guess that's a good thing. No one likes Dorano MU. You might have a point there. And Needle Storm right there. Racking up a lot of poison stacks. And I really like your use of side B right here. When jumping out in the air like that, you're kind of forcing Rano to have to jump up and hit you and like anti-air you. Which is a little bit trickier for him to do than trying to just normally control the plats and control space under the plats. And okay, so the safest place to put Cloud and Edgeguard, in case you didn't know this, you might already know this, but yeah, is that's going to be right at ledge. So I don't necessarily think it's bad that you're trying to same with Clouds, but see how you're normally hitting it. You're releasing just too late, and you're knocking Rano, you're knocking Zack back into stage, and basically letting him recover for free. If you put Cloud at ledge, you're gonna, especially if you use down B to have like the time bomb, you force Rano to have to work around that that space because of how relatively easy it is to pop Cloud. And especially again, if you use the time bomb, you can either force Rano to rush back on stage or to try to find a way to get above the Cloud, which you can then cover with something like up air or fair. I'm not sure how many options Rano has to get around Cloud, but Abs's ledge tapping is generally seen as some of the scariest in the game, along with Crag. Those two characters are very obnoxious to recover against. Trying to hit the bear right there. You did get the sweet spot. The trade probably wasn't worth it, because that was still like a almost full charge up strong. You almost died for it. Good DI from Zacknight, recognizing up tilt coming ahead of time. Okay, and here you go. I think Fair right there probably would have been safer. I believe Bear is a little stronger and has a slightly steeper angle, but normally Fair still does the job ridiculously well. That move is really obnoxious to deal with, because in certain situations, if you get hit, like near the ledge, there isn't always a right answer to how to DI it. It can kind of just hit you no matter what you do. Alright, once again, Zacknight is going to be switching to the Crag after the first win. He is very confident in the Crag. So we're going to see if it works out this time. It worked out against Waifu. This matchup is definitely generally seen as a bit more difficult for Crag, from what I hear. But we'll see. So when you're going for those random S-Strongs, particularly when you're that far away, trying to hold it and hope they run in is usually not the best bet. Every once in a while it'll work and be haha funny, but usually you can just release it and try to prevent them from getting a bigger punish. Nice catch on the air dodge right there. One thing you really have to look out for against Crag is the is that up strong. It covers a pretty wide space both in front and above him. So you have to be really careful about air dodging into Crag, because it hits like a truck. Oh, okay, nice catch right there. Zacknight trying to jump away and getting up aired before he shovels. Definitely one of the strongest tools Absa has at their disposal is that up air. So knowing how to land it is quite good. Trying to hold out a little bit too much right there and dying for the fair. In general though, I like how you were holding out against, it looked like you were holding out anyway, against like the jabs and the nairs. So at the very least, didn't seem to be holding in, which you really don't want to do against most characters. And alright. I think you could probably stand to work on getting your consistency up with these F-tilt fairs a little bit. I'm not sure how consistent most Absas are able to do it, but it is one of her best confirms. F-tilt 1 isn't crazy hard to land, And the reward for fair is stupid high, so knowing how to pull that off consistently will do a lot of favors, either way, catching the DI in with the up air, not even needing fair this time. Okay, I like the double F tilt right there to catch the DI in. I feel like Zacknight's pressing a bit too many, a few too many risky buttons right now, and that's really how Zim was able to take the lead in the end of that game. And oh wait, it said, oh wait, my bad. All right, Zim won game 1. Zim won game 2, not game 1. My bad. The score is not correct, I believe. Oh, never mind. Sim did win game 1. Apparently. Huh. For some reason I thought they didn't. Whack. Okay. Apparently I am in full scatterbrain mode right now. That's always fun. Okay, nice cloud pop to sort of prevent the rocks. So generally speaking, when it comes to Krag, you want to be close enough to him that you can punish rock pulls. With a character like Apsa, where you have such good zoning tools, that might not always be needed, because you can still use Cloud to pressure rock pulls and make it a lot harder to find those openings. When Krag being as slow as he is, approaching this in a way it's particularly easy to do. Thing we've seen so far. And yeah, you're just gonna keep popping the clouds. I think leaving the cloud right there is a little bit safer. You might have to do something. Oh, that's unfortunate. You might have to do something a little bit different to effectively punish Wall Pillar. I'm not particularly sure what Apsa would do differently. But Wall Pillar is pretty different from most recoveries. It's also one of the hardest things to edgeguard in the game. So... oh, there you go. Catching in the pillar. If you're the Krag in the situation, you have to remember your projectile invincibility only lasts for, I think, like half a second for the pillar. So you need to jump away quickly if you have a character like Apsa that's able to just throw those projectiles out and try to break pillar. Trying to get back jab, not working out. Okay, good Ushung on the parry. I'm not sure if there was a safer option there. For a while I was recommending Dare, up air in a situation like that, but you do still have to read the DI, so it's a little bit less reliable. It is an option though. Zach going high, and once again, Zach, you gotta remember to, not parry, or not parry. I'm sorry. You gotta remember to get release the rock if they're consistently parrying you, and just go into normal mode. From there, you can sometimes punish with Nair. Okay, good single jab. And there's going to be the up air to close out the set. Looks like crusaderzim winning 3-0. Yeah, okay. Zacknight is now in losers, except unfortunately, Zacknight, spoilers, had to DQ out of losers finals. So Zacknight will be out at third. We're going to have the set to decide fourth place in a sec, and then we're going to have grand finals. So... good stuff to Zacknight. I will say, I definitely would recommend trying to narrow down a character to play for the time being. To help with improving, because I know you're having a character crisis and stuff, and that's always not fun to deal with. But yeah, balancing that many characters is a pretty difficult thing to do, so if you can not have to do that, it will probably help you out. But that aside, F's in chat for Zach. For loser semifinals, we're gonna have Barnstormer and Aro. Yeah. So some Ori Clarin. And again, need to emphasize the importance of whiff punishing in the Clarin matchup for most characters. Basically everyone. That's pretty much how you play this matchup, and unfortunately, I do think that's something that Barn... Oop, didn't reset score yet. I think that's something that Barn doesn't do super effectively, with how much Barn relies on urban neutral. Working on your ability to approach Clarin in this matchup will be super helpful. And like, if you want to force Clarin to approach, you can still kind of use your movement. In a way. Just use like simple, like relatively controlled movement that's hard to punish. And just don't approach Clarin. Very nice sign parry right there. Even online, I believe sign is reactable to parry. Actually, reacting to it is pretty difficult, but I appreciate you going for it. This Barn's going for some fairly telegraphed sign pops right now. And F-Strong going to be taking the first stock. Good attempt for the up tilt, for the F-Strong rather. Just barely missed it. That stunned it, Clarin. Barn getting a little overzealous on the edge guard. I feel like usually it's kind of safer to just not, and just try to go for the weak hit instead, because Team F-Strong is still a fairly good kill move. Even uncharged, it'll take stocks a decent percent, so just no need to get too overzealous with it. So right there, I think Plat Chop Nair honestly would have been your best bet. In general, you don't use Plat Chop aerials too much, and those are a really nice way to set up for whiff punish opportunities against Clarin. Particularly Plat Chop Nair and up air are the ones that Oris are usually going to be relying on a lot. Again, down. And then drift. It is a weird move. DI down doesn't exactly sound right, honestly, if you think about the angle, but that's what Clockwork told me, and it helped me a lot. And if I'm going to trust anyone with DI angles, it's going to be Clockwork. That man knows his stuff. Back at a down strong is actually kind of an anti-air, for some reason. Alright, one fun way to set that up is actually moonwalk down strong. If you know how to moonwalk. It's a bit of a gimmick, but it's a decent way to sort of like kind of help like bait the opponent into landing next to you and then like covering them with D-strong tipper. Clockwork uses it fairly often and definitely has gotten his fair share of kills with it because people just don't expect it. And once again, very nice D-strong. Barn having a tough time DIing the move. It is awkward to DI, I will concede. But still gotta know how to do it. Yeah, we're gonna jump right into game 2 right here. And we got Merchant Port. What, Alcaphone, you didn't know about D-strong anti-air? SMH in my head. Barn getting some decent stage carry. What song is this? This is a Magikarp Festival from Pokken. being a Zetter player doesn't make you special. Every player in this game presses buttons. Even characters that shouldn't press buttons. Moonwalking will never happen on controller. Is there a reference I'm missing or something? I very well could be. Because moonwalking isn't very difficult. Actually, that was a really nice down strong. Wow. Good stuff, good stuff. Yeah, and I like that you're using air dodge to get on stage. I wasn't really noticing it earlier. I'm not sure if I was missing it or not. But yeah, that's your safest way to land on stage as Claren, is going to be like up B, wall jump, waveland. That obviously wasn't quite it, but it still gets you fairly close. It's a lot safer than landing with any of your specials. Sometimes, if they're trying to get more aggressive with covering it, also do wall jump back air, swap them away. But yeah, that's definitely a less safe option. Okay, just gotta get a hold from Barn right there. Baiting out the parry. Alright. That time, good job from Aura not getting hit. There are more situations here where, so Barn, you're kind of going like high, you're using double jump there a decent amount, and that's not a great option, especially in neutral. Oh? Huh. Looked away for a second and Aura died. That's tragic. So, my advice for that situation is, don't do that. I know, great advice. I'm here every day of the week for more great advice. Yeah, side B to recover isn't something you're going to be using super often. Once again, I think it's a scenario where grab dash attack would work. Even if it's just a sour hit. Still helps tack on some extra damage. And possibly push them off stage. So like right here, I mean, okay, the down strong worked, so I can't really say that was wrong. I think in that situation, I would have probably tried to nair to cover how Ori was coming in. Ultimately, in that scenario, Ori can't cover himself very effectively. Oh, it's a draft league thing. Unfortunate. I'm guessing it was another one of those situations, yeah. I can see that, yeah. Oh, so when you do... Okay, that was a nice up strong. So when you do landing, I don't know if that was actually a situation where it would have worked. I'm gonna be honest, I think you were just barely too low. But, when you do landing, tip, or up air, that actually at most heights, if you space it right, like that probably would have been the right height for it. You could do an up strong. It's called the Larry. It's one of Claren's... It's a really good kill confirm. I'm not sure if either of those would have worked, but a slight up strong there definitely wouldn't have hurt for the follow-up. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, nice catch with the F strong. And no tack. Okay, you were at a very low percent, so you're not dying. They rolled in! Oh no. Barn, gotta be careful about their throw-ins. Alright, Ara one game away from making it into grand finals here. Barn, gonna have to fight for the, gonna have to fight for the chance to stay in the tournament. Okay, nice up tilt right there. So I think right there, you probably could have just used F tilt, because I think Barney was still on end lag from the down tilt. Oh, rip. Hopefully some good DI from Barn to avoid more detilts. One really, I'd say fairly important BNB to know for Clarion is if you get a tipper down tilt, you're guaranteed a second tipper down tilt, and that deals 18%. Completely for free. So like if you ever land tipper detail at ledge, just do a second one. Or on stage, a lot of the times it's best to just do a second one. The second down tilt won't give tipper stun. So you can't try to do like F tilt S strong off of that. F tilt S strong only actually works consistently, like is only true on like really specific spacings. So if they're holding in a lot, you can go for it, otherwise don't. But yeah, detilt's a nice way to rack up damage really easily. And you're getting hit for it. Still living. Yeah, not much you can do right there. Yeah, at this point, you kind of just have to, like, sometimes you can use, like, because you had a lot of height right there. So I think you could have used down B to stall. If Barney tried to, like, preemptively hit you. Yeah, there's an, I was going to talk about edge cancels. It's just, up B edge cancel is really hard to do. And super risky to do as well, because if you miss it, you just straight up die. If you want to learn it, go for it. It's really good. And it's pretty much the one thing that really helps Clarion recovery be salvageable. But it's difficult, and there are probably more important things to work on right now. Oh, alright. From a plat drop, I think, I want to say when you're on a platform like that, your best option is probably like short hop dare and try to dare them through the plat on a plat that length, or that height rather. Because that should hit. Even a short character like Ori, I would assume, would get hit by it. The dare should have bounced them up and still let you get a grab, even though you might have to read it. Or you could have done like down strong and gotten a sour, yeah, you could have gotten a sour down strong off of the dare. More or less guaranteed. Either way, we're going to be going to a game 5 here. We haven't had too many of those today. Oh, that's why the score is off. Okay, thank you. Barn. Remember, hit fall up air. Super duper important. You don't want to be missing any of this, especially when you're getting like up air at low percents, especially. Like, those are basically guaranteed if you catch the DI properly. I also feel like Barn, you're not really using jab enough. I was talking about it a little bit earlier, but I'll go over it one more time just in case there's anything I miss. Jab Jab F tilt is probably like the Ori BNB. So if you can find situations to do that, that's a really nice way to get some basically free damage. Okay, decent down strong, trying to get some off-string coverage. Or not strong isn't that great of a move, but every once in a while. Ah. I don't know what you were trying to do right there. I feel like that was relatively obvious. Yeah, the DI out was really unfortunate because he died at, I think, 65. That might even have been after the hit, which is even more depressing. Oh well, it happens sometimes. But yeah, Barn, definitely try to not do so much as like retreat Orb. Instead, I think you should be going to platforms and trying to take advantage of platforms for flat drop aerials and such. And also trying to bait opponents to hitting the platform and shocking it. Some characters can do that relatively safely. Like, I feel like Sov, it's fairly easy to do. Edalis for like normal hate plats. But yeah. You can still definitely bait and punish them. Not getting tempered right there. And that was a very well-timed F-Strong. Not gonna kill, because F-Strong sucks. Good DI from Barn. You really went for it 3 times. I mean, good for you. But you really went for it 3 times. Okay. It's rivals, we're all mashers at heart. Okay, yeah, so with Dare, right? When they're, especially when it's aerial Dare, because you have to balance, I think Downstrong might have covered everything, I'm not entirely sure though. But with Dare, because they have the option of like either no tech to bounce or, you know, tech and then tech, obviously. I think grab is like the one thing that's really guaranteed in the situation. So I think when they're not getting spiked and they have more options for how to avoid it, grab's especially useful either way. Barn drifting into the F-Strong. You hate to see it. Barn going to be out at 4th. And Aro is going to be going into Grand Finals loser side. I am holding comms down because the normal amateur bracket streamer is sick this week, unfortunately. And he wanted the rest, which I can totally understand. So, I'm here doing the commentary thing all week. I hope Akarsian's feeling better. I don't know entirely what was up, but yeah. I don't mind covering for him if I need be. Alright. So we got Grand Finals now. We're gonna have... wait, Invaderzim. Wait, no, it's crusaderzim. My mind. Oh, I am out of it. Oh, yeah. I was close, I was close. I'm assuming that has to do with your name origin in some regard. Alright. So. Yeah, makes sense. So we're going to have crusaderzim in winner side grands and AuroKT on loser side grands. This is definitely seen as one of Claren's more annoying matchups. As we talked about before, Claren recovery is pretty linear, and a character like Absa who has borderline free ledge trapping, I think you can probably guess how that's going to go. We're going to see if Sim's able to effectively bust out the ledge traps. Let's go, Invaderzim. Good show. Good show. That's a good tag inspiration to have, I think. Yeah, dare through plat. Remember, as I said earlier, you gotta crouch under that. Actually, when we're gonna do that is sometimes a different story. On the other side, though, for Aro, something I don't think I've talked about yet this stream, that I haven't really seen come into play too much, but is always important to mention in the Absa MU, is crouch canceling. So if you don't know what that is, crouch canceling, that could have been enough strong, and Crusader might have been dead. But yeah. Anyway, crouch canceling. So if you crouch weak projectiles, I believe the cap is if they deal less than 8%. Oop. There's your there. Up strong. Very nice. But yeah. If you crouch weak projectiles and certain weak moves like jabs, you will not take any knockback. And this is really strong against Absa because she has, I want to say, I can never remember if it's 3 or 4 moves that crouch canceling works against, but normally you're going to be using it against Cloud, F-Tilt 2, and Up B. All really good options. That was also another situation I saw there where you could have done D-Tilt for the free 18%, but she's got a pretty even game right now. Okay, up tilt the plat. No big follow-ups off of it though. So I think if you didn't hit fall that fair 1, I think you might have been able to keep the string going after fair 2. Okay, it can be CC. That would make sense, yeah. And I mean, against moves that CC doesn't reduce knockback, I mean, where it doesn't prevent all knockback, it'll still reduce knockback a little bit, so you get to live a little bit longer if you CC. It's not particularly potent or needed, but it's still definitely an option. You almost got the PP poo poo. Damn. The PP poo poo is back throw up strong for Claren, by the way. That's the one thing that'll actually call that, because it's too iconic. Missing the back air. So Zim, sometimes if you're trying to catch those, like, Absa Jab's pretty good. Especially because she doesn't have very many fast moves. So that's one of the few things she has. As I'm sure you know, jab D-Tilt is the really safe way to rack up damage. I'm not sure if it's actually true, but it definitely feels true. So every once in a while, busting out the wave dash jab D-Tilt will be a nice way to help rack up damage. And yeah. You know, just because of how jabs work, it's a safer option than sometimes risking the parry mash. So I think if you do just jab D-Tilt and not like jab hold D-Tilt, I'm not sure if you can tech that. I think jab 1 D-Tilt should be true, because most jab 1 into things are true, but I could be wrong because I'm not really an Absa expert. So if you remember earlier, with Zacknight, I was talking about how disjoints and linger hitboxes are some of the main ways to shut down Absa recovery. As Claren specifically, I think Nair fits both of the bill for both of those things, and it's a really nice way to try to edgeguard Absa. Of course, sometimes D-Tilt will still be very strong, but I really like Fair and Nair versus Absa up B. Are just ways to have something pressing Absa out. Okay, nice landing up air right there. Yeah, we're in grand finals right now. Rep. Okay. I expect going for the parry, but remember, for future reference, you can crouch cancel in these situations. And it's basically like, do I want to parry and try to get the bigger reward, but risk getting no reward? Because obviously, you know, you still have to read the cloud pop. Or do I want to just crouch cancel it, take the little bit of percent, and then try to keep approaching after that? If you get in the mid-range, crouch canceling in particular can really help with trying to close the gap for more short-range clouds and help open up punish opportunities. So you get some up airs right now. Ooh, very nice. Nair D strong is a nice little thing to have in your back pocket. And a well-spaced S strong. Once again, this slide down strong. Very good move, yeah. Especially in the corner like that, like if you DI out, you're just gonna get absolutely destroyed. A bit of a weird thunder line right there. And okay, Zim, I feel like some of these, you're not really getting punished for some of these cloud throws, but the side Bs at close range like this, you do want to be careful of. Because you are still leaving yourself open. That was a nice one right there, because you're able to catch where Auro is moving. But it is fairly difficult. Like after a certain point, you just lose the ability to cover yourself. Don't side B on stage. That's a really, really risky option. Alright, decent Nair 3 flats. So I think right there, Nair F-Strong might have actually hit Tipper, and it might have killed. Not 100% sure on that, obviously, but I think it would have been a good time to go for sliding F-Strong. Try to remember that in the future when you're hitting Nairs, like I said earlier. It's a really good confirm, both on Tipper and on no Tipper. Alright, that's looking like an F-Strong near the ledge. And Auro, one game away from the bracket reset right here. Zim's gonna have to find an answer to this pretty soon. Because Auro still needs a whole set one after that to take the tournament, but it is doable. S-Smash broken, please nerf. No. Very nice strong is one of her worst moves. But, you know, it'd be like that sometimes. L smash? Fair. I'm going for the second up air, not hitting it. Are you an original? It's a red and black color palette, so yes, I hate to say it, but you are an original. I mean, it's a skin, it's just also red and black. That's like the color palette. A little slow in the air right there. So I'm able to get the parry. Ah, just barely missing the F-Strong right there, unfortunate. And the fair whip into sweet spot fair. Zim still getting the kill. Top land, of course. Okay, yeah, this is where things get scary. You have to basically DI fair out right out the gate, and if you don't, have fun. I hate to leave it at that, but yeah, especially if you're playing a heavyweight. I don't know how much the supplies declare in. Probably still pretty high, actually, with their air drift. Because if you can't drift out too much or you're just gonna die. And that's a big body, no matter what you do. If you drift out, you're still gonna get hit. Honestly, even if it wasn't gonna kill, like, now you know it's still worth it, but honestly, yeah. On a stage like this, there's a decent, well, right, I think Tropical Ceiling is only high if you're on the low if you're on the top flat. It's pretty high from the ground, from what I remember. It just doesn't look like it. So having a tough time covering the up B right now, unfortunately. I'm kind of getting to maneuver around for free right here. No, F-Strong getting a little overzealous. And yep, the side B gonna be going right in that up air. Crusaderzim staying in winner's side still. So we're going to be going into Game 4 on Tower of Heaven. Auro is doing a pretty good job, yeah. I will say, honestly, this is probably some of the best amateur bracket play I've seen in a while. So, good stuff to everyone who played, but especially Zim and Auro. You two have played really great tonight. Well, not tonight. You played very great 2 nights ago, rather. I'm so used to commentating on the night of the bracket. But yeah, this is some really great play. There are definitely some things to iron out here and there. Definitely, like, you know, big gaps in your knowledge, but the foundation is there for both of you to do really well in the future. Are on the grind? Is that what I'm hearing? Hopefully you'll be able to both come out next week and show up in Interbracket, which is usually what I usually stream Interbracket. Obviously I did this week too, but yeah, it'd be kind of hyped to see you guys make it up there. Yeah, so the one thing about that, playing against players that are worse than you is still an important thing to do, because it helps you work on your punish game, and can help you work on dealing with dumb strats. But I feel like early on, yeah, there is quite a bit to be gained from, like, there's stuff to be gained from all 3 of those, you know? I don't think limiting your options to just those 2 is the best option, but I totally get it. It's good to be willing to practice with players who are significantly better than you to be able to pinpoint some of the really big weaknesses in your play. HTTP is kind of good at the video game. That is definitely something that would happen, yeah. Alright, we're even 1-to-1 stock right now. And not getting the F tilt here. And, oh, Auro doing the thing. I forget what it's called, but doing the thing. There we go. Draft League. Woo. Respect to Zim for waiting it out. I don't know if Zim even knew, but yeah. I don't know, I feel like at this point Ara might have noted it. Unfortunate. Alright, now you're good to go. I think. Maybe? No? Oh, figures control. That's fair too, yeah. Just gonna vibe. Vibe. Good music, huh? The Pokemon music is so good. I love it. Alright, the high cloud right now. There. Blech. This is a very close game right now. Are super close to the bracket reset. And catching the... Dang, catching with the up strong. I'm glad you like the music. I change the music pack every RSC season, and now I'm not actually done this one yet, but I made pretty good progress. It's not enough for the point where you guys won't really notice it. And Auro, 1 game away. And he's switching to the roster, trying to make something happen here. Air character matchups are always really weird, because air characters have some of the most really whack explosive advantages in the game. They just press buttons, and those buttons have a very good chance of killing. It's really brutal playing against them sometimes. But yeah. Pretty much, yeah, you're always at co-percent. So picking this stage is Raster in the MU. Yeah, I think honestly, like, if it was open to you, Gates would have been a really good stage to pick. Though normally Alps is gonna ban Gates. Otherwise, Merchant Port would be a good pick, I think. Yeah, unfortunate. Good there, trying to send Zim back off stage. I thought they were getting up aired. Rep. Alright. Good Cloud right there, trying to catch Ari's jumps. Being able to effectively anti-air Raster is super helpful. Really, that goes for all the air characters, but especially Raster and Ellie. If you have a good anti-air, like Shonen up tilt or Apsa up tilt, it's gonna help a lot for shutting down the main ways they approach in neutral. Yeah, Zim's use of cloud control is really good. I was talking to Zim, if you remember Slam Dunksville, one of the guys who played in pools. He compared you to like a fairly high level Apsa, just like a less refined version. If you know Sororus, I thought your play wasn't too different from his, so if you really want to refine a more defensive cloud heavy style, Sororus' gameplay is definitely something to look up to. Yeah, I can definitely see it. When you use side B a lot, you can kind of make the game almost a bullet hell for the opponent, is how I've heard it described, with good use of side B. And you do use a lot of side B, so you have the chance for those bullet hell opportunities, unfortunately messing up the recovery right there. But you're one stock away from winning, actually. 2% for the up air. But unless Auro goes full funny burn mode right now, it's looking like a pretty good spot for Zim. Auro managed to get some hits in, but couldn't really convert in any crazy damage, and crusaderzim is going to be your amateur bracket champion. So congrats to Zim. Also good stuff to Auro for putting up a very good fight in Grands right there. Woo. Hi. Let's go, Zim. Alright. I don't have too much else to say on top of all that. I think I'm giving a good amount of advice to you two in particular. Especially Auro, because I know Claren a bit better. Auro, I'm guessing you're like mostly a Claren player, because I thought you had the Raster role. We like to know the mains of the players who play in RSC, so we can seed pools without character duplicates. That's mainly why I ask. Character crises do be unfortunate. I can understand that. But I'll just say Claire and Raster for now. Alright. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed my commentary, I think I'm going to be commentating for ANG tonight, so check that out if you want. I don't know how that's going to go, but it is something I'm in fact going to do. There's also, if you guys are in the mood for a bracket right now, there are so many Tuesday brackets. There's almost too many to count. There's ANGs if you want my commentary again, but they stream via spectator mode. PX Pride also does spectator mode replays. So there's Pride for East Coast and West Coast players. There's Bonfire, I think. It's probably 10, I don't know. I'm not sure if it's a weekly. There's also SSSS in Recess, yeah. So join S4 if you want. Sap is a fantastic person. Is there an amateur bracket? No. So the two brackets for amateur players are obviously the normal amateur bracket and then Cyber Circle. But yeah, S4 is definitely a hard bracket. If you want to get games against players who are pretty good, I'd say S4 or PX Pride. If you want more even matches, I feel like normally ANG's bracket, Attack on Aether, usually has a lot more characters that are experimenting with Rivals, because they have they play other plat fighters, and Rivals is is probably the most obscure thing they run. So I've seen a handful of players definitely look like they're new to the game. So if you want that, you can also try that. But yeah. S4 or Attack on Aether, depending on what you want. Hoppy, yeah, Hoppy won it the last time I commentated. They usually have like a couple pretty like upper mid-level players in there. So there's a good balance. But Tuesdays are very stacked, very full of online events. So if you want to play, you have options. Alright though, so I'm going to go rest my voice for a little bit so I can commentate without feeling completely dead inside. I appreciate you guys for watching, hope to see you around later, thanks for the hydrate, I need to do a lot of this right now. And yeah, see you all hopefully next week for more Rivals Recess. Bye-bye.